This is Julia Sweeney, and I have one thing to say to you. Don't be alone with Jay Kogan.
Don't be alone with Jay Kogan.
That's a long note. Hi, this is Jay Kogan, and don't be alone with me. No, I mean, you could be alone with me. It's not as creepy as it sounds. I know it sounds creepy. It's a poorly named podcast, but the good news is the last podcast anyone will ever do because there are too many podcasts. I just got in under the window. Don't Be Alone with Jay Kogan is a podcast about staying connected in a very disconnected world. And why should I be doing this podcast? I shouldn't. I'm a comedy writer. There's no reason I should be doing this podcast, and there's no reason why you should be listening. But how'd you get here? I don't know. But you're here, and I'm here too, so we're going to do this. I'm your host, Jay Kogan. I am a writer mostly, a director sometimes, a failed comedian, a philosopher, and I like big life questions. So that's why I'm here to discuss big life questions with my friends. If you have a comment or a question, please write into dbawjkogan@gmail.com. That's Don't Be Alone with Jay Kogan, dbawjkogan@gmail.com. Today, I was going to talk about social anxiety because I have social anxiety. Most of my friends don't know that I have social anxiety because I seem kind of fluid. I come to party, people think, but I am scared shitless when I walk into a large group of people. And I've read recently that it's a sign of that you don't have faith in yourself, or that the sign maybe of autism. There's a lot of things about walking into a big room of people with too much input and too many people and not knowing where to look and what to say and who to talk to, and I have this. So it's stopped me from having large parties. Like if I turned 50, I didn't have a large party. I wound up having a lot of little small parties, so I can talk one-on-one to somebody. When I have one child. If I had more than one child, I wouldn't know what to do, whether I could talk to child one and child two at the same time, because I need to concentrate on the one person when they're talking. And I'm afraid in a large group, I will forget people's names, I'll say the wrong thing, I will offend somebody. I don't think that I have I'm not really afraid of coming off badly. That's okay. That's been ingrained into me through improv. Like, I could fail, but I don't want to hurt other people, and I don't want to offend other people, and I'm sure that I do all the time. I'm terrible with names. I forget everyone's names. That's a huge part of my social anxiety. I just don't know what to do and how to deal with it, and I know that I'm not alone, and I want to talk with a very good friend of mine about it. So coming up, we'll be talking with Julia Sweeney right after this.
With you there is no storm that we can't weather. We may be lost, but we're lost together.
Okay, so hi.
Hello.
I'm here with my guest, Julia Sweeney, who I have loved for
As
many,
I have
many
loved
years.
you.
But people think I've loved you as a fan. I have loved you as a fan, but as a person, you're just the greatest person. And I've known you for forever.
I know.
And so always been thoughtful, nice, caring. And what's interesting is you built a career kind of about being that person.
Have I, though?
You really have. Like all
Or have I destroyed a career
No.
by being that person?
Like many people know you from SNL and
Yeah.
know you from certain movies and TV shows, but a lot of people love you from your monologues.
Yes.
And God Said Ha and Older but Wider, and I just saw recently. They're great because they're personal.
Yeah.
And you can tell your humanity from them.
Yes.
And that's connective. And that feeds back into what I'm trying to purport here, which is be connective, give of yourself, connect with people. Of course, in your monologues, no one talks back to you. So
Exactly. Sometimes I think one of the things I was attracted to is that I could just talk without stopping to wait to hear anyone else talk.
Right.
By getting on a stage and being amusing enough.
You've always been very
for them
selfish.
to have paid a ticket price to see me.
It works. It works. It's very good. So it has worked. It's interesting. We met each other in the Groundlings time.
Yeah, the Groundlings. Yes.
And the Groundlings is an interesting place because we're going to talk a little bit about the social anxiety. And for
Yes.
me, doing improv is one of those places where you just have to walk on stage and be willing to suck.
Yeah.
And be willing to be bad.
Yeah.
And be willing to take a chance.
Oh my
And-
God, it's such a good training for that.
Yeah, so
I'm
it's-
surprised that you have social anxiety. I'm
there you go.
surprised to hear you say that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if there's a big party and I'm going to go to somebody's house,
Yeah.
I'm going to think about not going.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I think most people do. But
But I feel like that way, but not for those reasons.
Why
I
do
think
you feel-
because I don't really like people. I just think, I also feel like a one-on-one is much better to me, or a small group,
Right.
because, well, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like a big party. I've gone to a big party, maybe 1 or 2 a year, but it's not anxiety. It's more like I just don't enjoy that very much. I would
Why not?
rather be with a smaller group because I think this is where we're the same, more pointed, intense conversations with a small group than the chit chat drives me crazy. I just can't stand it. I don't like that. I don't like just.
Don't you feel when you're in a big party, it's exactly right. You get to say, hi, how are you? What's going on? You learn the very surface, the
Right.
most surface amount of information, and then you move on.
Yes.
As opposed to connecting with somebody sort of like, and having a conversation that lasts maybe 20 minutes where you're going to have to find more out about each other in that 20 minutes and
Right.
really walk away feeling, oh, I know that person a little bit better, or I've reconnected with that person in a way
Yeah.
that I wouldn't have otherwise. That's so much more exciting to me
Yeah.
than just saying, oh, well, great
Yeah,
food,
right.
weather's nice,
But I don't feel this. I wouldn't call it social anxiety, except that I have noticed that I am very depleted after a big social event. Like I have to go lay down for a long time.
Why do you think?
Well, I had a therapist once say to me, and this will seem kind of trite and maybe obvious, but he said, your biggest issue is you think you're an extrovert, but you're actually an introvert.
Okay.
And you need to honor that part of you. And that was great because it kind of gave me permission to say, I like big social things sometimes, but I have to have a huge recovery afterwards. And I prefer to be either alone or with a few people.
Because it's work.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Because
work.
it's a lot of work.
And it gets really boring because it is very surfacey usually.
Yeah. And that work of, I'm going to talk to this person, but then I see
Right.
somebody over there that I know. And in my
Right.
head, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder at the person I'm talking to, but then I do want to connect with that other person too. And that fries
Right.
a circuit in my brain.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
I'm going
that's a lot.
I'm going to be rude to this person.
Right.
But about the future conversation with that person that I will have where I'm doing the same thing to that person
Yeah.
about the other person. And it's the most shallow. I hate sort of the non-reality of that, and I'm not in the moment.
But were you always that way even when you were younger?
Yes,
Okay.
and I think because I can make conversation. I like making
Yeah.
conversation. I can make jokes and all that kind of stuff. But I can be in a moment. That's my favorite thing, and I think
Right.
it's something I can do. Is I can be connective in a
Yeah.
moment with somebody. It's hard to be connective in a moment with somebody with all that other stuff going on.
Yeah.
and all the other people going on, and people.
What about on a set, like on a TV set, when everyone's working towards? See, to me, that's different.
It's
I
completely
love huge numbers of people working towards a certain goal, all having certain jobs. That does not feel like a party to me. Even though you do have little chit chat here and there with people.
But it's completely different because if somebody walks up to me and saying, "Jay, I can do this," will not
Right.
feel like I'm being rude. I can
Yes.
say like one second, I have to finish this.
Right.
And I don't feel like I have that opportunity to do that at
at
a party.
right? Because I feel like I didn't feel that way when I was younger, and I used to give lots of big parties and loved that. But now I think it's just a function of getting older. There's other things that came into play when I was younger that I don't care about anymore. Like who you're associating with and status and being with this group of people and having these group of people over. I don't care about those things anymore.
Yeah. What about, do you ever feel like that teenage thing where like, oh, they're not going to like me at the party?
No, okay, this is going to make me seem so arrogant. No, I don't.
Right.
Because I think I'm likable enough. I don't think everyone's going to like me, but if you don't like me, screw you. I don't really care about that.
Right. I was offended recently at a party. I was at a party at Conan O'Brien's house. And and in this little area was Eric Idle and
wow.
Bob Newhart and Martin Short
my
and all
God.
these people. And I was leaving with my son. We were leaving, and I was going to say goodbye to Bob Newhart, who was an old family friend.
Yes.
And so I walked towards the couch, and Eric Idle did this.
He stopped you.
Don't come here. Right. Don't. You're not.
Was
don't
there?
come here.
Was somebody in the middle of a story or something?
No,
or-
I think it was. Just
It was
like,
just like no.
Just like
You're
he
not.
didn't recognize me. I shouldn't be in the. It's like the VIP
my
room.
God.
Like the VIP room. So I got
Okay, that
stonewalled.
would make me never go to a party again.
And it's like,
That is horrible.
yeah, like an a hero of mine.
But
Eric
how do you
Idle.
know? Maybe he meant like. Do you really?
I'll do
think
it. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
I'll do it for you. You were walking. You're me, and you're walking.
Okay.
I was like,
Oh God.
yeah, that look of like.
But what was
no.
happening in the group at the time? Was
I'm-
somebody
obviously
about to burst
Martin
into
Short was
tears?
talking, because that's all that happens in a group with Martin Short, is everybody sitting around and Martin Short was talking, because that happens with Martin. But it's I just wanted to say
Wow.
goodbye to Bob.
Okay, this is what I realized. I would have what you have if I was associating with people at that level, because I don't. I'm not in rooms with those people.
I'm normally not in rooms with those people, but I was
but
that.
I can see how
that
that
night.
would make you feel bad.
Yeah. So, but we should conquer that fear, and I do try to conquer that
I guess
fear.
I conquered that fear by just never being in rooms with those
Right.
people.
But also the confidence that you just said you have, which is, I'm
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I have that too, I think. I do think I'm fine.
I think,
And
I think you do too.
I'm
That's
not-
why it surprises me. I think it's the parties you have. You know what? It probably seems impossible to not go to a party at Conan O'Brien's house.
Well,
So how could you say no to that?
I actually enjoy Conan and his
Yes.
friends for most of the time. Not Eric Idle, who's my new frenemy or enemy.
Eric, I know.
Eric, I hate that guy. But I think I'm afraid of offending people. That's what I'm afraid of. And I know that I'm going to see people whose names I should know and I don't know. And
You're just in a much higher level of social interaction than I am. This is what I say. Go way down. Go down. Bring your social interaction down to people that it's okay to offend.
Okay. But it's okay to offend those people. I can offend any of those people. I don't care. I just don't. I'm terrible with names.
I am
just
too. I have the same
really-
thing when you said that. No, and it's
So how do you
my
handle
whole
that?
life is hi, nice to see you again. I mean, meet you. I'm like hi, nice to meet.
So when you do a
see
show,
you again.
and there's that after show thing
Yes.
on every show,
Right.
Right? People come back, and
Yes.
there are people marched in
Yes.
to see you. And how do you handle that?
It's terrible.
Yeah, that you maybe you should know these people, or maybe you shouldn't.
No, I
Maybe-
know it's just terrible.
So-
It's absolutely terrible.
so-
It's one of the reasons I've quit show business.
Thank God.
No, I don't like that. First of all, I'm so filled with adrenaline and everything from doing a show that I'm not in a place where I can really connect with anyone anyway. So I'm not really going to connect with somebody after a show. So when they come backstage, and I've had wonderful, famous people coming backstage, but I don't like it. I do
it's-
not like it.
Right, but it's not the famous people, because I know them.
Yes,
it's the not famous people.
Yes, it's the quasi-famous people
Yeah.
or moderately
People
famous
I've
people.
worked with for years.
Yes, I know.
Sometimes.
No, I know.
Yeah, and it's like
I know.
Jay, and they know me, and they want to give me a hug, and I don't know who they are.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And the one great thing about my fame plummeting, which I only embrace, is that I don't have that so much anymore.
Okay, so thank
It's
God.
like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
good because I always didn't know if I knew them personally or from show business or I
Right.
recognized them from a show.
Right.
Like it was terrible, and plus not knowing names. And like there was this one time, I think it was just at the Groundlings, but I think I was working on one of my one-person shows, and at first people would say to me, I know you from somewhere. And then then it's a terrible thing. Like, and then we would do a game. I go, oh, you might have seen me on TV. And they go, like what? And then I would say, like, I was on, like, for example, I was on the Bob Newhart show for a while, one of his seasons. And they go, no. And then I'm standing there giving my credits to somebody.
No.
And then I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And then I thought, I'm just going to say to people SNL. That's what they mostly know me for. So if they say, I don't know where I know you from, I'm going to say SNL. And so now I'm thinking this couldn't have been at the Groundlings because I would have been doing a show. Anyway, somebody came up and said, I know you from somewhere. And I said SNL. And they said, no, I think you're my cousin's friend of your cousin. Like, it was so terrible.
Oh, no. All right.
Oh, God.
Well, then you
but
should
anyway,
yell at
I hate
them.
That.
You should
I
yell
hate
at them.
that.
Why didn't you see me on SNL? What the hell's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Except that I wouldn't, my friends always joke that I wouldn't have known who I was if I wasn't on SNL because I never watched SNL.
Right. Well,
I did a little bit before I got on because I wanted to get on, but after I left, I almost never watched it.
I watched every single show.
You did?
I still do.
Do you?
I still do.
See, I wish I was like that.
I just watch it's been a habit since George Carlin walked out on that
so
stage.
Do you stay up late and watch it, or you watch the recording?
I used to. Well, I used to stay up late. Then I recorded it, and now that it's on at 8:30 in the West, like it's really not hard to watch. But yeah, we DVR'd or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We recorded. We can watch it anytime.
Oh wow! See,
So,
I should do that.
I watch it. And they're funny. They're still funny.
Yeah. No. I think it's actually much funnier than when I was on. People remember that of a certain age, but actually, it seems like what I have seen, which isn't a lot, but occasionally, it's much higher quality.
The quality is similar. It's just, I always liken it to The Simpsons, which I worked on for many years.
Yes.
It's, when it first came on, it was very exciting, but
Yes.
the food is still great. It's like if it's a restaurant,
Right.
the food is still as good as you remember. You just got used to it a little bit. And your
Right.
expectation
Your
of it is the
expectations
same.
change,
So
yeah.
you can go to a really nice restaurant like the Ivy. The Ivy is a really great restaurant, but people don't go anymore because,
they've been to the Ivy.
Yeah, the Ivy.
Yeah.
But its food is really good.
But it is good. Yeah.
I don't know. And by the way, It's Pat. I have a question for you. I've never.
Yes.
When I first saw It's Pat or Pat,
The
character Pat,
like at the Groundlings.
yeah, it looked a little bit like me. I just got to be honest. It's a chubby, black curly haired, glasses.
That was not intentional.
Okay, I'm just saying.
That was really not intentional.
I felt that could have been me at 23. Honestly.
Okay, but that could have been a lot of people at 23.
That's true.
I would say.
But I'm just saying, I knew you, and we were.
You know what? I didn't really think it all through that much. I did. First of all, I did not think it would become so popular.
Right.
I really didn't.
Well, it was just a character. It's just a
Yes.
character, but it was a great character. But and now we couldn't do that character.
No, you.
Yes.
Well, I think you could,
How?
but you would have to change it in significant ways. For one thing, well, that's just a whole other topic.
Yeah.
We can do that on your next podcast.
Okay, that's good. We were talking a little bit earlier, and you said that you've come to some life decisions
Oh yes.
that you don't want to waste your time.
Yes, I feel like so. I'm 63.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be 64 in October. And I can see the finish line even if I'm hoping to live to be 93. So let's say 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
To me, 30 years ago, I was on SNL and that seems like yesterday. So I feel like I can see the horizon of even if I'm lucky enough to live 30 more years.
Right.
That seems very prescient to me. I see that. And I also see that I have so many interests. I want to be good at so many things. I want to know so many things. I just wake up with 10 ambitions a morning for things to do.
Right.
And that I'll never, unless I cut some things out, I'm never going to really see if I can be very good at certain things.
Right. So you're saying that you no longer can be my friend. I hear you.
No.
No, I get it. I get
Jay,
it.
Jay, I
It's
drove
fine.
all the way out here just to be with you. I don't even care about the podcast.
Okay, all right,
Just
good.
that's how much I want to be with you.
Thank you, by the way, for coming to the Don't Be Alone Tower, and I really appreciate it.
No, I'm happy to come
Yeah,
out. Come here
yes.
again just to talk to
Yes,
you.
that's very
That's
very
how
lovely.
much I care
Okay,
about you.
So
You are
I'm
not cut out.
So I'm part of the next 30-year plan.
Yes.
Okay.
You really
All right,
are.
but
In fact,
what-
I don't understand why we don't see each other regularly.
I don't either, honestly.
Okay. I think it's
fine.
because you live so far away.
Yeah, or you live far away.
One of us lives very
we
far
can decide.
away.
We can decide that. So what's in the plan?
Okay.
What's coming
well,
up?
no, and it's painful the things I'm cutting out.
Okay.
It's painful.
All right.
And I've only the overarching thing
Right.
is that I want to see if I can write fiction.
Okay.
And I have never proven that I can do that in any form, really, except for in minor ways, like sketches. But I know I can talk about my own life on stage, and I know I can be funny as myself, and I know I can explain stories about my life and have people listen. I
Right.
think I can confidently say that. But I have always wanted to be a screenwriter
Right.
or a short story writer. Somehow saying a novelist is too big to me, but a short story writer or a screenwriter. And then I also want to see if I can direct a movie.
Okay.
So, and I have several things, particularly two things that I have done drafts of, but I've never really made great.
Okay.
And I've gotten notes back,
Right.
and I've let the notes go in my head for like up to a year. One of them is about the life of Cass Elliot, who was in The Mamas and the Papas. I had an
Yes.
idea for a screenplay about
Okay.
that I wrote a draft of, and I got very wildly different notes, and I didn't know what I agreed with. So now it's been a year since I got the notes, and this is what I typically do. I have probably 7 screenplays that I have done this with,
Right.
where I write a draft, I show it to some people.
Right. And put it
They're
away.
always really encouraging,
Right.
but they have some serious notes
Right.
that I get very overwhelmed about whether I agree or don't agree with those notes.
Right.
And I need to think, and they're usually very different notes.
Right.
And then I put it in a drawer and I have a new idea.
Okay.
And I really have like 7 things.
So you know what that is?
What?
Fear.
Is it fear?
Yeah, it's fear. So you took the
Is it-
thing, the new project.
But what is it a fear of? Completing it?
You're gonna suck.
Okay, yes. Okay, but this is what I think. Okay, I'm 63 now. I want to know, maybe I do suck.
Maybe you do, but
And that would be really important information for me to know because I could stop trying.
no, but the new project that's very hard to do is procrastination on the other project.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so that's a procrastinate. That's like somebody
Yes.
who's a diligent. It's a sort of very good work ethic person's version of procrastination. Is
Yes.
to work on something brand new.
Yes.
So let me ask you about the Mama Cass
Okay.
Elliot piece. What's it up? Now I know who Mama Cass is. What's the reason you're writing the Mama Cass story? What
During
is it
the
about?
pandemic, I watched this documentary called Laurel Canyon. There were 2 of them. One of them I hated, one of them I loved. The one I loved is by this Australian woman who is a director, and there's 2 parts to it. And I knew, of course, about Cass Elliot and always liked her as a personality. And growing up, you just liked her. She was a person who seemed like your friend, and
Right.
she seemed like she'd like you, and she was bawdy and funny and a great singer, and she mostly just seemed like somebody you wanted to hang out with all the time. Like of all of them, I loved her.
Okay.
So I had a particular love for her. I learned more about her from this documentary. And I had an idea also because I knew that everyone thought she died choking on a ham sandwich,
she
which is
did
not
not.
true. And it's so terrible that happened to her, even though she didn't know about that
Right.
because she was dead.
Right.
Thankfully, that part of it is
Right.
good. Okay. That she didn't know that that's what people think. And I just began reading. So during the whole pandemic, I read for like a year and a half about her. And then I had an idea, which in one sentence is that when she's in the middle of the heart attack that actually kills her, that probably she's alive for 5 minutes before she dies, she goes on a quest in her mind that includes her whole life. And it's like the 5 minutes before you die where she's hallucinating, and it's kind of a biopic. You're kind of watching your life pass before your eyes, but it also culminates in this vision I had for it. So it's
Okay.
kind of magical realism, imagining.
But if you had to put just a topic sentence
Yes.
on that, not this
I
is about
call
her-
it Cass Elliot's deathbed phantasm.
Okay. I'm digging even deeper because this
Okay.
is going to help you finish your screenplay.
Okay.
What is the point? What is the thing that you're saying? This is the point. Like I had a movie that I called This Magic Moment, and it
Yes.
was also a guy on his deathbed
Right.
in a hospital,
Right.
about to die, and it was all a flashback of his entire life. And the whole point of it is life is only, of this particular thing was, life is only the great moments of an entire life can be summed up in like the 30 great moments of your life.
Okay.
And that's what it's about. It was about that life. We live life, we live life, but for those 30 amazing moments. That's what it was about. So that was my topic sentence. So I could always go back to that idea. No matter what the scene was, no matter what the moment was, the overarching idea kept me sane and kept me moored.
Okay.
What's the overarching idea? Is there
the
one?
idea? Well, I don't know. I feel like I have to now.
Okay.
I feel like I have to go off and spend a year thinking about.
No,
what
you don't have
just
to spend a
said.
year thinking about it because you know what the idea is because
the
you
idea
wouldn't have
is
done
you
it.
could die at any minute.
Right.
Life is precious, and what you did was precious.
Right.
But as you were saying that, except that I don't know if this is really true, I was thinking mine's the opposite, where you think it's about these great moments, but it's really about the mundane moments of life.
Okay,
It's
so-
really about just getting through, like living through your life in the most mundane ways, and how much you'll realize you didn't give those moments more credence
So it's about
than you should that you should have when you come to your last moments of
So-
life.
that movie is about learning, even if at the end of your life, learning that the now is everything.
Right.
Learning that
Except that now the now is over.
But it's okay. But you can reevaluate the now.
Right.
In your last 5 minutes, you can look back on those
Yes.
those mundane moments and think, oh my God, that me just sitting in a room with my daughter. She had a lovely daughter.
Right. Yes.
Just
and then even further from that,
Yeah.
it's just breathing.
yeah.
Just I'm breathing.
Great.
I'm an animal that's breathing.
So it's-
I'm an animal that's moving through space.
Great.
And now I'm a wildflower that sprout, and now I'm gone.
So that's your concept.
Okay.
And everything else goes to the proof of that concept. And that's what your movie will be about, proving that idea.
Okay.
And so all the criticism that you've heard about your movie, the screenplay, is you can take that in, but all the ideas that people had for you about how to fix them, throw those out.
Yeah.
You don't need those. What you need to hear is people didn't get certain parts, and you
Right.
just circle those things and say,
That
well,
was really helpful.
let me change those little things that people somehow didn't get. Maybe I'll consider changing it. But oftentimes there's something that they didn't get that I say, that's great, and they're
Right.
wrong. And I'm going
Right.
to keep that because it's great, and it's the whole reason I'm doing this.
Right.
So they can suck it. This is going to be great. So all you have to do is sort of reorganize your thoughts.
When you say all I have to do, that's just like a mountain of notes.
not
and
a mountain.
so many scenes.
Throw
I've
out the
done.
notes.
Like, okay.
Throw out the notes. You have a document.
I do have a script.
You have a script.
Yeah.
It's 90 pages long, 100 pages?
Yeah, it's 120 pages.
Okay, so it's too long. So the first thing you're going to do is figure out what to cut. Okay.
Well, but I feel like I have to reorient the whole thing from what it was a year ago. Because I was trying to do half a biopic and half this phantasm. And now I realize I have to just go with my crazy idea.
Go with the crazy
forget
idea.
about the biopic idea.
I agree. It doesn't even have to be Mama Cass. It's not about that, right? It's about, I mean, it's good that it's Mama
Well,
Cass
yeah.
because it's a life that you understand and you're writing about.
Right.
But it's more about a much more deeper idea of what life is.
Right.
That's great.
Okay.
What life is. This is what
Can you
life
come
is.
sit with me every day for the next 3 months?
I could certainly sit with you once a week for the next 3 months and get you through it. But I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I've spent many, many years doing this. So I have written a lot of stuff and gotten used to this process. And I actually
okay.
teach it in college. I'm a teacher.
Do you?
Yeah,
Where are
I
you
do.
teaching?
At USC.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's like, and I teach all this stuff. But it's not. If idiots like me can do it, a brilliant person like you can do it.
you're not an idiot. Oh my God, you're
we
so great.
It's doable. This is really doable.
Okay, but this is the point.
Yeah.
I have so many things I want to do.
Yeah.
And one of them is I have certain screenplays. Let's say there's 5 things
Okay.
that are at the same point
Right.
that this Cass Elliot thing is.
Right.
And what I want to do is make it so that over the next 2 or 3 years, I complete these projects and see if I could be this person who writes fiction.
You won't see. You will be that person who writes fiction.
I know, but it might not be good. I might not be talented at it, or I might not have the knack, or I don't even care if someone buys it or not.
Right.
I'm saying whether I think it works and is good.
Okay. When's the last thing that you made that you thought worked and was good?
Well, Older and Wider, my show, Older
Okay.
and Wider.
Okay,
I thought
great.
that was good.
Yeah.
and no Screenplays bought it. And now I'm going to put it on Substack, which actually was my idea at the beginning.
Right.
Like I was like, screw you, show business. I'm just putting it on Substack. And then I was convinced by my representation.
It was great, by the way. It was great.
Okay, but anyway, I was convinced by my representation to send it out, and then everyone said no.
All right.
And then, but I don't feel bad about it. Because I feel like I did as good a job as I could do.
Right.
And I'm going to put it in a way so people can see it.
Right.
And that's all I could do. And I'm actually lucky that I don't care about the status. And of course, I like money, but I don't care that much about the money. So, so that's good things about me that make it not so painful. But I want to know with the screenplays and the short stories, because I'm also writing a short story I could go between the short story and the script. It helps me do that.
I do that all the time.
Oh, do you? Because
when I get
like
stuck
to write
in the one thing, and I'm going to give that time, and I'm going to do this other.
Do the short story version.
Yeah.
I really need to know if I am good at this thing or not, of writing screenplays, and I'm going to give myself these 2 or 3 years to see if I can do it, and I think I can finish it. I have a plan for finishing it, but I don't know if it'll be any good.
It doesn't matter. And you're putting the idea that
just to myself, I don't
have to know if I'm good is a defeating question.
Is it?
It's a defeating question.
Okay. What should it be?
I want to tell the story.
Yeah. Well, no, of course.
Okay, well that's all that matters. I want to tell the story.
Well, okay.
And I'll work to make it good eventually, but I want to tell the story. It shouldn't be a test of you're good or not good. It should be a test of the story.
That goes with this thing I heard like 6 months ago that I can't stop thinking of, when they were really advice for young people who don't know what their career is going to be. But in some ways I feel like I'm in that category. But anyway, and they said, write down 5 careers that you could have, that you could devote 20 years of your life to. Now imagine you're going to fail at every single one of them.
Right.
Which one would you still pick?
Right. That's great.
And I thought writing. For me, it's definitely writing.
Well, I've failed at writing, and I can tell you it's fabulous. It's a good choice. It's very good. Why didn't Denny and Cass work out?
I know. Well, he's her kind of Beatrice in this story.
Yeah.
He takes her through he's the one who grabs her hand and says, let's go look at your life together.
No one else knows what we're talking about, but I do. And I'm
okay. I know. Well, because, he had a lot of problems too, but she did too. I mean,
I know. It was tough.
It was tough. They
Laurel
met
Canyon
each other.
Was a weird time.
Yes. And they're the kind of people who, if they had just met at a different time in their life, if they had met when, instead of being 27, they had met when they were 42, they probably would have made one of the great relationships of all time.
Yeah.
But they just didn't meet at that moment when both of them could accept each other as their soulmate. Is my opinion on that.
It's sad. That whole story of the mamas and the papas seems ultimately.
Oh God! But they
really
have a cute meet that happened in real life. That was
so
that was so amazing.
Yeah.
That is in my script. That's so, people always go, oh, that's so cute. You came up with that scene. I go, no, that scene has been reported in many places. That actually happened, from both of them reporting how they met in the cutest way.
So save it for your movie. People don't know who the mamas. People who don't know who the mamas and the papas are should listen on Spotify. Listen to some mamas and the papas music.
I made a little Spotify playlist for people to read the screenplay.
Everybody knows Monday,
and they know California Dreamin' has been covered by everyone. But actually, all the things I want to write, when I tell people in show business, they go, "No one cares about those people."
Yeah.
Because my other one, which I just came back from a week. I have a Mark Twain, Harriet Beecher Stowe. Yeah, it's like I've come up with the joke idea that no one wants to buy. The friendship between Mark Twain and Harriet Beecher Stowe, who live next door to each other, and the houses are still there with all the same furniture, and you can tour through them, and they have
Hannibal, Missouri.
It's in Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut. Okay.
And the people who run the institute there are incredibly eager to help me with my idea and liked my idea, and I just spent a long time with those people.
All right.
And then when I tell people in Hollywood, they go, yeah, no one even knows who those people are.
True. But what's it about? I don't, again, you can have two people, but there doesn't have to be, but it's really helpful to have. This is about a friendship that blank, or this is about...
she gets dementia and he goes bankrupt. So they go through two big things together.
Right.
that are painful. And again, yes, it's about...
Overcoming tragedy? What's it about?
No, it's not about overcoming tragedy. It's about the tragedy of being alive.
Okay.
It's about the fact that we all are going to die, and in some ways more painful than other ways.
All right, that sounds fun.
I know it. No, believe me, that's what I mean. Anytime I talk about it, I can see people's eyes glazing over going, oh, that Julia,
It could be great.
No one will ever
It could be great
to do that.
It could be great. That's an uphill battle, but it could be great.
I know.
It's an uphill battle. But commercial isn't what you're worried about. You're just worried about good.
I want it to be good, even if it never gets made, but it could also be a short story.
Well, it's brave. It's brave to write. Anyone who sits down to write at all, including me.
Whenever I'm in a conversation and someone goes to that, I know it's over for me.
What
you're doing is brave.
I'm saying every time I face a blank piece of paper, or anytime I have to sit down and write, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. I'm filled with a certain amount of fear. I'm filled with, even when I'm excited about things, I'm filled with like, oh, I'm going to ruin this. I'm going to ruin this.
This is my thing.
Okay.
It's so great in my head when it's vague, and it's so not that great when I write it down.
But that's not just your thing. That's everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so an idea is the platonic ideal of something. And then when you make it real, you're ruining it. You're bringing it to, and the first versions of it will be a shitty version of
like
the
the
thing.
one I wrote.
Okay. And then the great thing is we take the beautiful idea, we make the shitty version of it, and then we lick our wounds, and then we start fixing the shitty version of it. We chisel that away, and that shitty version becomes a slightly better version of what it was.
Right.
And a slightly better version the next time.
But there are some people who really don't have the talent to make it very good. And I don't know if I'm in that category or not.
Who
I don't
cares?
think it is about, yes. Well, no, I'll tell you, I care because there's so many other things I want to do. If it turns out I'm not good at this, I have a million other things I want to do.
Well, but just like you said before, like, which one would you be willing to fail at?
Right.
And so like it shouldn't matter.
But there might be some things that I could succeed at.
So do that. But is the goal? I want to do something I will succeed at.
The goal is I want to know whether I can do this thing that I most want to do. That if it's good, according to myself, if it's good.
So fight your fear. That all I'm hearing from that is I'm afraid the thing I most want to do won't work out because I won't be good enough. And so what I want to pull back on is doesn't matter if you're good enough or not good enough. The matter is doing. The people who write something get good because they do it.
No, because there's some people who work really hard at something and they're not good, even when they work hard on it over years and years.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then there's people like Chekhov who can just sit down and in an afternoon write an incredibly great short story that is perfect in every way.
That's an anomaly, and that's not how real life works. Real life works when...
No, but realize there are geniuses like that.
I guess so. Stephen King sits down and writes something, and
yes.
It's great. Good for him. I'm not Stephen King. You may not be Stephen King. In the real world, we take something and we
Okay, but that's the point. Maybe I am Stephen King, but not in writing, in something different.
Well, but how will you know? You have to try that thing. What will you be?
Right.
Motocross? What will you be? What are you the Stephen King of? What are the other things that you want to try?
Well, because I have this Substack page now, and I do little field trips.
Okay.
So I just did some field trips on my Substack.
Okay.
And I feel like it was really fun, and it was really great to do, but it's taking up all my time. I have to stop doing that so I can write.
But you're having really good time doing it.
I know, but it isn't ultimately what I most wish I could do. That's why I have to stop these things. I'm not going to totally stop it.
Right.
I'm going to keep the page. I'm going to do one thing a month or something like that. I'm going to reduce it down from doing so many.
All right.
But while I see if I can write the prose, and then if it turns out I can't write the prose, then I can go back to that.
See, I do a podcast every 15 minutes, and I don't stop for years at a time. Because I am trying to just be the king of the podcast world. I'm going to knock out Joe Rogan, knock out Howard Stern. That's why I built the Don't Be Alone Tower. so that I may have invested too much money building a tower. I got to be honest.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah,
for
$1 billion
that was a
for a
big vote
room.
of confidence in yourself.
And podcasts are like on their way out, so I may have made a mistake. But still, I'm going to try. No, I see what you're saying. But
you know what I mean?
but
Like,
you,
what if your thing was gardening? Like,
Too
you were going to
bad.
be so great at gardening.
Great.
And you also love gardening.
Great. Then take a certain amount of your day and do writing, and because you can't write all day anyway.
No, I know.
Okay, so you write for 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
3 hours of writing.
But it does take planning and it does take goal setting. So for right now, I have a goal.
Okay.
That by the time I go to Spokane for 2 weeks in August, I will have another draft of the Castle Elliot script done.
Good.
And then when I come back 2 weeks later, I have a different script that is something I could possibly direct. It's a very small story that happens in Spokane. I'm going to give myself 2 months to get that together.
Okay.
And then, so I have a plan, and I have a plan for the days that I'm working at it at a place where I'm not distracted. So I have a plan, and then I feel like over the next year or two, I will know whether these things are good according to me or good according to the world.
And at the end of 2 years, what you'll have had isn't what's good or what's not good, is have had the experience of doing.
Yeah.
And you'll have these things that you created.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Maybe there'll be a big meh.
Maybe, but maybe they'll be good. I don't know. I've fallen in love with everything I've written, ultimately. Every time I've had an idea, I loved it. Then I wrote the first draft and hated it.
Yeah.
And then got the second draft or third draft or fourth draft and started liking it again.
Yeah.
And I fall in love with it again. And then I have this thing that I'm showing other people and trying to get them to love it the way I love it.
Right, okay.
And I think ultimately you will not go, meh. You'll go like, I love a lot of this stuff.
Well, I will say, in spite of all this and the way I must sound, I feel actually optimistic. I think it's because I didn't give myself deadlines and I didn't make a plan of how I was going to achieve those deadlines. And when I do that, that's why theater always worked for me. I booked a theater and then I came up with a show.
Right.
So I gave myself a deadline.
Right.
I gave myself an audience. I had a feedback loop so I could make things better and better every time I did the show. So I need to create that for writing for myself, where I have my deadline, I have what I have to get accomplished in each week, and then that's what I'm trying to figure out, how to create the theater experience, but with my writing.
Okay. Well, deadlines are great, and they're important.
Yeah.
And you should also have a deadline where you're going to show it to somebody.
Oh,
at this
yeah,
time.
no. I have actually several people who keep saying, where's the next draft?
Right.
Where's the next draft? And I just hate them.
Right.
But I am going to have it.
Yeah, you're going to have it. And then
Yes.
you will have it, and it will be fine. Most writers or people who want to be writers are so filled with fear, they will do almost anything to avoid the writing. And you're not that person. You actually wrote something,
Yes.
and you wrote other things. And
Yes.
if you continue to rewrite, you will get there. And
Yeah.
so this is why I say brave. I say brave is because you're going to do it. And that's amazing. And I think everybody who wants to do something should take note of that.
Well, we'll see.
You will.
No, I will do it. I will do it.
Yeah.
But it does bring up an even bigger question.
What's the
I'm
bigger
pulling the
question?
camera back even further.
Okay.
Because being 63, almost 64, it's like, well, how do you want to spend what do you want the next 30 years to look like?
Right.
Because I'm in a situation.
I think I only have 20 years, by the way. Okay. Honestly. It's like,
Okay, actually, I'd be lucky to have 30 years.
right.
If you looked at my family, you would say 20 years.
okay.
Okay. I think it's more important for me to spend time around a few people that I care about a lot, and I include you in that.
Yay. Okay.
And to be creative in the way I most care about
Right.
than anything else. Even travel, like to exotic locations, which I also want to do, even 1,000 other things that I could bring up. And in order to really spend these next 20 to 30 years spending my time, I don't want to feel regretful that I frittered away my existence on things I didn't care about as much as other things, but I didn't have the discipline to do the other things. That's what I'm trying to avoid. And that's what I think when you're in your 60s, you have to think about. Like, you have to think about, well, how can I live on my whatever money I have?
Right.
You have to think, how can I be creative in a way that's satisfying to me? And who are the people that I want to know more?
Okay. So what would happen if 30 years from now,
Yeah.
you've spent some time gardening and writing and seeing friends and traveling and...
Yeah, but that's too many things already.
No, it's not.
They all
In
take
30 years?
Yeah, no, I can do some of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
You
do
got
some
30
of that.
years.
Yeah.
Well, you spent a full year gardening.
But to me, 30 years is hardly any time.
Okay, I understand. But it's saying I think you're being. It sounds to me that the limitation of time is giving you a little bit of a frenzy, but it doesn't seem to be.
But I feel like it's a good thing.
It is
because
good.
it's making me make hard decisions about. For example, here's something.
Okay.
So I, up until 2 weeks ago, and for the 10 years before that, probably, but for sure the 6 years before that, spent 2 to 3 hours a day on politics.
Oh.
Really, tons of time.
Right.
And if Mulan were here, my daughter, she would say that is such an underestimate of how much time you spent. Because I have my MSNBC hosts that I love. I have all the periodicals that I get I love. I listen to all the podcasts about the Supreme Court. I have a whole bookshelf filled with biographies of Supreme Court justices. I'm on it. And you know what I decided is? Stop it all.
Well, but I don't know. You've been spending 2 hours a day in the last couple of years, and look how good the political system is now.
Well,
You've really fixed it.
No, well, that's exactly right. This is what I realized. I'm so far left of the left that it's not like my vote is ever going to change. There's not going to be new information I'm going to get that's going to change my vote. I have given money to candidates, but I can't give a ton. And I also can't give time because I don't have a lot of time. So all I can do is have myself up my hair on fire all the time about the politics. It doesn't matter at all. Nothing that has happened in politics has happened any differently because of me spending 5 hours a day on politics.
It's a waste. Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
It's entertainment is what it is. It's entertainment.
And it was true, like when Trump was in, that was this kind of horror entertainment that I couldn't pull myself away from. But I'm angry now that Trump stole that time from me. I would rather have my screenplays done than the extra 5 million hours I spent watching and reading and thinking about this catastrophe that was happening. Right. So then at first I thought, I don't know if I can stop. But for 2 weeks, I have not...
It's great, right?
...paid attention to any politics. And then it's also a re-identity thing because I think people, if I say to people, yeah, I don't really know about that, I know how I used to think about people who say that, and that was a negative judgment I would have of those people. Like, how could you not know what's going on? Or how could you not know that this has happened? Okay. But I am trying on the hat right now of somebody who really is checked out from politics.
Well, when Biden got elected, I stopped watching politic porn.
Oh, you
I
did?
Yes, I just started, like all the Trump, all that stuff, like... I just stopped because, and it was great. And then when the new election cycle started,
I know. What about the Supreme Court? Okay, but yes.
But so I'm a little bit more into it. But it's so much better to not watch the news. Is so much better. It's so much freeing. It's freeing. And I know it's crazy because you want to be involved and you want to know what the world is, but it's not helpful right now to be really.
No, unless I think I can really do something with the information I'm getting. Or if I was somebody who couldn't decide if they were a liberal or conservative, I guess you should spend some time because then your vote might go one way or the other. Yeah. I am so far away from that.
Right.
It is completely a waste of time for me to do it, except that it is interesting and it is our times. But I am trying to make a pledge over the next year or 2 years to just not pay attention to it.
Okay.
Enough to vote properly.
Yeah, right.
But not otherwise.
But you know who you're going to vote for anyway.
Yes.
You know?
Well, the issues, like the certain issues in the city, I like to know more about.
Sure.
So before we'll have those, proposals or whatever they are, I will learn about those. But, so that's a big one.
That's great. That's very time-saving, freeing.
Time-saving.
Yes. And the brain isn't working on those problems, so it's free to do other things. Yeah.
And also, I've had huge things this last year. My kid was launched, as we talked. Mm-hmm. She's not a needy kid. She needs to talk to me once a week. It's good enough for her. And,
How do you take that?
Actually, I like it because I was that way. Well, I didn't.
You don't call more than once? You don't call her a few times a week, just checking in?
Well, just as I was waiting for you to come here to this podcast, I did text her and said, call me later. I want to hear about your trip to San Diego because she went and visited a friend in San Diego. And then I invited her to come over for dinner, but I think she'll say no.
Yeah.
And even though she does like us and she does like to come by. But anyway, launched my kid.
Yes.
It feels good. I feel like I really stopped my life for her. I mean, I really dropped out of show business and everything and moved to the Midwest for 10 years and was a full-time mom. So
Right.
I really did a lot for this kid. And it totally was worth it. She liked it that I was there.
Right.
She liked that I was always around. I don't think I was hovering. I think it was a good amount.
Right.
And I think she is benefited from that. So I feel very successful
sure she's
about
benefited
that.
from
Yeah,
it.
like I feel like and also since I adopted her, I felt like you're not even giving her your genes. Like all you have is your influence. You know, like
Right.
so it was a big deal for me to do that. And that's done. She's
Right.
in the world. She's launched. Okay. My mother passed away in November. Not a sad thing for anyone, including her. She was ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and that took up my life for 5 years because I was in charge of her and she had dementia and a lot of problems. That took up my life. So now that's done.
Right.
And then my husband and I tried to figure out for several years if we would sell the house that I owned or if we'd remodel it. And we decided to remodel it. And we're just doing the landscaping part of it. So and it's been a 2.5 year insanity of remodel.
Sure.
And now that's coming to an end. So I have 3 huge things coming to an end.
Great.
So
You're free.
I know I'm free. And now politics.
Okay.
So now I feel like I'm free.
Now you have plenty of time for gardening. There's no excuse not to garden.
Except that my husband he's a competitive gardener with me.
Okay, well that's not good. Do something else.
Yes, exactly.
Find something else. Or do it together. Do it together. Find the thing.
I'm trying to do it together, but he thinks I overwater things and kill it.
Right. And is he right?
Yes, he's right.
All right.
But I enjoy the act of water.
Sure, I understand. All right. Right. You feel as though you're giving life when in fact you're
I
taking
feel like
life.
the plants are going, yay,
Right. You're
yay.
killing them.
And he's like, they're drowning.
I'm running out. We usually do question time, so we're going to skip question time because there's no time for
I feel
questions.
like I talk too much.
No, it was great. So we're going to go
But
right
you
to.
did solve my screenplay problems.
I'm going to solve your screenplay problem. It's not a problem. You're just in process.
Okay, I'm
and you
in
don't know that
process.
you're in process. You said it feels like you're saying it's a failure when it's not a failure. It is a process that you just have not taken the next step.
All right.
You've made the batter,
Thank
and
you.
now you have to put
I have
it
to
in
put
the
it
oven.
in the oven.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's all. That's all. It's good. So now we're going to do listener mail.
Oh.
Because now we have listener mail.
Okay.
So,
Listener mail.
all right. Really great cheesy theme for listener mail. And this is the question I have that is a real question from a real person. Dear Jay, I was thinking about people who purport to be able to communicate with the dead, loved ones of others. Long Island medium John Edwards, Tyler Henry, etc. What I was thinking about is if the people that they are doing these readings for genuinely derive comfort from thinking their loved ones have sent forgiving messages from the other side, is it really hurting anyone? I don't agree with the psychics charging money for this, but is it really immoral or unethical? That was the question I was kicking around in my mind. Thanks for reading, Monica Martin. So Monica wants to know what we think
That's
of
a hard
this.
one to answer.
Isn't it? I thought it was an interesting question.
That is really interesting. What do you say?
Well, I mean, is it immoral to lie to people to say I'm talking to your loved ones, but then giving them comfort? No, it's not. That's not immoral exactly. It's not hurting anyone. So I'd say that listen, placebo is good. Like
placebo can work.
I'm pro placebo.
Yeah.
And if somebody's in pain and they have to hear from their dead
think I
loved
agree
one
with you.
that everything's fine and I'm in a good place and the thing that you did that I hated is actually I've
Well, as
forgiven
long
you.
as it is good. I mean, the messages aren't always good. They could be like, I hate that you didn't feed me supper at 5 instead of 4,
That's
and
true.
I'm out in the afterlife feeling angry about
Right.
it.
If they're doing that, then that's bad. Then that's the evil version of that.
Right.
But if this is the soothing version, then it's good. I don't believe that there's communication from the dead, but for
Right.
those who do.
I just went through this with my mom because, she got
Did
dementia.
she communicate with you from the dead?
No,
Okay,
she did
good.
not.
Woo!
Thankfully,
Yeah.
I do not think that's
Okay.
possible.
All right.
She really believed in heaven, and she really thought that she was going to die and be with my dad and my two brothers who passed away. And I, as you know, am a really skeptical atheist.
Right.
And she knows that too. But she also had dementia. And there was this moment when I gave it, and she wanted to talk with me a lot about how it was going to be so great
Right.
in the afterlife.
Right.
And I resist. I'd say, oh, I know that's fun for you to think. I'm so happy for you. But then she wanted me to agree that it was important for her that I said, yes, you're going to be there with them.
Right.
And there was this moment a couple of years ago when she was in so much distress about it that it was like I just did it. I just agreed. And it was actually really useful for me because I could say, oh, you're going to talk about that with Dad in heaven. Like,
Right.
I really went there with her.
Right.
And I felt I did a lot of struggling about if that was ethical or not, because I am presenting myself as believing something that I do not believe.
Right.
But since she had dementia and since it made everything so much easier and since she was so calmed by it, I agreed to do it.
But that's how you treat a dementia patient. You
Yes.
agree. That is actually that's
Well, sometimes you agree. I mean, if she was trying to leave the facility, they would often call me and I'd have to give her the hard truth of things. Like she'd say, my husband, my dad, is on the corner waiting for me at 2 a.m. and I'm trying to leave the facility to go meet him. And then they would call me and I'd have to say, no, he's not. But I would say, he's in heaven.
Right. Oh, wait,
He's
right.
like I used it to make her be okay with it.
I've been dealing with some memory issues and dementia people in my life.
Oh, really?
And one of the things I do is I agree. That somebody says, we're in, here we are in Hawaii, and we're not in Hawaii. I say, yeah, it's great to be in Hawaii.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, but if they're saying I'm going to go swim around the island, you can't say, yes,
but
we're
it's
in
like,
Hawaii.
no, I can't put them in danger, but I can say, sure,
Yeah,
or
right.
the person doesn't know that their husband has passed, and says, where's this person? And I said, well, he hasn't been here for a while, but he'll be back.
Right.
He'll be back. He says he loves you. He says that,
Right.
but he's stuck in a place, but he'll be
Right.
back. Because that's the other information, all the information that someone says dead or someone says gone, or that, you're not in the right place. That's all disconcerting for the dementia person. They don't know. They only know kind of what they know, and it only sticks briefly anyway.
Right.
Like, so in that moment, that should only be for 20 seconds when they are listening and understand it before they forget it again or are on to the next thing.
Right.
It's just okay to say, yes, it's okay.
But it does fundamentally change your relationship with them. That's the part I had to deal with internally. I mean, there was something that I felt was intimate about talking to my mom as myself and what I believed. It was important for me to feel like it's sort of like when you go from treating someone like an equal to when you treating them like a child.
That's right.
And that was hard for me. And almost out of respect for her, I didn't want to do that. But then I did do it because it was comforting to her.
And because that is the nature of the relationship at that time. It morphed from that equal partnership to somebody you're taking care of.
Right.
What was the biggest lesson in having to take care of your mother?
Don't get diabetes.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right.
Because now I
Can I write that
understand the
down?
connection between diabetes and dementia, which I didn't know before. Yeah, don't get
sugar.
diabetes. Yeah, sugar.
Sugar is bad for you. Sugar helps.
Yeah, and it's a whole other topic. But once I started understanding how she could have gotten into that condition, it had a profound effect on my life to not do whatever I can to not be in a situation like that for my loved ones to have to take care of me. Because it was really horrible. Right. And it was horrible for her, and it was horrible for me as her caretaker, and it was horrible for everyone around her. So that was my biggest takeaway. Yeah. Don't get it's a complicated thing, but it was really terrible. It was as terrible, and I feel sad that my mom and my mother was a difficult, mostly horrible person, by the way. But even in her best moments, she would never have wanted that last 5 years.
See, now I am the opposite. I have made plans to burden my family entirely with the end of my life.
No,
and
don't do it.
And I have orders. If I'm in the hospital on a machine and I get, that I have to be kept alive until the money runs out.
Oh God.
Yeah, till everybody goes
Stop
bankrupt.
it, Jay.
It's like I'm entitled to what I want, right? It's my life. I can live it the way I
That's
want.
so funny.
Isn't that
but
true?
you're really begging such a bigger question here,
Yeah.
which is worth another 25 podcasts.
All right.
Because how people end their lives is so awful in this modern age.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a drag, and I'm helping to take care of my parents, and helping to take care of my wife's parents or
Yes.
my mother, and it's very difficult. And that, they say we're the sandwich generation where
Right.
take care of
Yes.
their kids.
That's Michael
and
and
our
I
parents.
too. His
Yeah.
mother is 96. Actually, she's who we all want to be. She lives on her own at 96.
Yeah.
Orders an Uber, gets on the bus and
Yeah.
goes to the doctor. Gets her own groceries.
Yeah.
She's how we all want to be.
My dad's
but-
sharp as a tack, and
Yeah.
it's really great. And so, yes, I do want to do that and be that, but I'll never be like my dad anyway. So I'm much more destined to be more like your mom. That's fine. It's fine. It won't matter when that
It
comes.
won't matter to you.
Right. I won't remember. But if no one comes to visit me and it's just, some person handing me soup, that's fine. I won't know the
My
difference.
mom felt that way, I think,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know. It was terrible. So maybe that's not the answer you're looking for. That was my biggest takeaway.
Oh, well, that's a good takeaway. We're going to do recommendations. You're going to tell me one thing
Okay.
that brings you joy.
Oh,
One thing that brings
just
you
one
joy.
thing.
One thing that brings you joy.
You
can-
have to
give
give
me
me
more
an
than-
area. There's so many things that gives me joy. Being here.
I mean, you talked about gardening. You talked about what if you had to.
Let's face it, I don't know how to garden. I love cooking.
Great.
I love cooking, and this morning I have a breakfast soup that I make. Actually, I got it from a recipe book, but I love making it, and I freeze little 1-cup containers of it, and you poach an egg in it, and you add some spinach and some green onions.
Is the egg the ingredient that makes it a breakfast soup?
Yeah, well, it's just chicken broth, garlic, and